A very warm welcome to one and all here this evening to our Victorious Living Wealth and Wellness or Wellness series, where we're happy to have you from around the world. And also, of course, on beautiful St. Martin. This is our fourth wellness series, and it's all about empowering you to take ownership of your health, especially in the times that we're in, as you know. And by being here, you've made the right decision to be here to really take charge of your health. And of course, as you know, we're going to be focusing this evening on understanding and overcoming depression, which is part one of this powerful series. So I really want to welcome you. My name is Roy Cotton Jr., and I'm alongside my lovely wife here, Dr. Nicole Erneme Francis Cotton, who is the visionary of Victorious Living Foundation. So we thank you very much for being here this evening. We are coming live to you from beautiful St. Martin in the Eastern Caribbean. And we're happy to have each and every one of you here on this webinar this evening. Of course, you will have an opportunity as we go along during this webinar this evening to put your questions in the chat box, which you will see, of course, on the side of your screen. So if there's any questions you may have for the guest speakers this evening, by all means, feel free to do that, because there'll be a moment, of course, where you can ask those questions. This evening, we're going to be hearing from two wonderful persons. You're going to be hearing from Dave Rogers, who is a best-selling author. He's also a motivational speaker, and he is someone who is a suicide survivor. So you're going to hear from him today as he's going to share with you also a very, very important, I would say, way how you can manage your emotions and all that you may experience in 21 days. You're going to hear more about that later. You're going to also hear from Sabina Asadova, who's a registered nurse. She's also a holistic health coach, and she is going to be speaking to you live from out of the USA, and Dave Rogers from out of Canada. And we're here live on St. Martin, who's going to be speaking with you, of course. As you can see on the screen, this is who I am, Roy Cotton Jr., and of course, I'm an interpersonal and professional development coach, youth specialist, motivational speaker, and transformation specialist who, of course, loves empowering others. I am the host and producer of the internationally syndicated radio show, Love and Inspiration, which has a listenership of over 2 million listeners worldwide. And also at the same time, I am here to be your host, co-host of this amazing and important webinar this evening. So without further ado, I'd like us to move forward as I introduce my lovely wife, Dr. Nicole Erneme Francis Cotton, who is next to me. And she is the visionary, as I've mentioned, of Victorious Living Foundation, certified lifestyle prescription medicine health coach, certified holistic coach. She's also a marriage and family therapist and master therapist, awarded a honorary doctorate of divinity from the Grace Hill Bible University. And she's the developer of the Grace Hill Bible University St. Martin Campus Counseling Degree Program. She is a best-selling co-author of Success from the Heart, author of It's Time for Change, How to Thrive in Trying Times, Love is Forever, a true tale of love and romance of 102-year-old Miss Carrington. And she is still alive, ladies and gentlemen. If you would like to know, Miss, of course, Carmen Carrington on St. Martin. She's happily married to me, as I've mentioned, and we welcome you here this evening.
Good evening, everyone, and it's my pleasure being here and pleasure having each of you here with us. I am going to ask my wonderful husband next to me to just say a word of prayer as we get started, and then we will proceed as I introduce our guests who will be sharing this evening. And one of the main reasons why we have chosen this topic tonight, as you know, we're doing this on a monthly basis because we're seeing a growing number of persons who are being depressed by the situations in our world. And the persons need hope. They need hope in these very challenging times. And so I'm going to ask you to just open up with a word of prayer.
Certainly. Heavenly Father, I thank you for this evening that we're able to gather tonight for a very important webinar, part one of Understanding and Overcoming Depression. We thank you, Lord, for everyone who is here this evening and has taken the time out on a Saturday evening to be here. May you be present, and may all that they need to know be shared by our special speakers this evening on this webinar. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen.
And what I'd like to ask you, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are, to please make sure that you keep your microphone muted and also your video off, because the session is being recorded and we want to have a smooth running of the recording. Thank you so much for your kind cooperation. And remember, there's the chat box. If you have any questions, you may post that in the chat box, and then you will receive your answers during time for questions and answers. So we move forward this evening, and once again, welcome to you.
Yes, welcome once again. And just so that you have an idea of what Victorious Living is all about, in 2002 was when the vision for Victorious Living was deposited in my spirit by our Heavenly Father. And it's about helping people who are hurting, because our community is fragmented, young people frustrated, families falling apart, marriages failing, so many challenges in our community. So we provide solution-focused methods of counseling couples, families, youth and individuals, success coaching, health coaching, mentorship, entrepreneurship training, and a suite of training programs addressing anger management, conflict resolution, personal and organizational development, conferences and workshops, which we have one coming up in August. And we also provide assessments for your personality, for you to understand who you are better. And I would like to also acknowledge that in our audience, we have one of our board members, Connie Francis Gums, and also who I will be introducing right now, Mr. Dave Rogers. He is one of our advisors in our advisory team for our Oasis project, which is a community development project, which we're about to unfold to really transform our community. And so with no further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Dave Rogers. And Dave is a best-selling author, global speaker, social entrepreneur, and mastermind facilitator. He lives life with passion and infuses his presentations with energy, which is both energetic and kind. He's a dynamic, self-motivated speaker who brings a global perspective to his keynote presentations, weaving personal stories from his experience of managing $1 billion portfolio in over 20 countries around the world, as well as stories of human potential and growth from the mentors, coaches, and teachers who have enriched and contributed to his life of service to others. Born in Canada, he achieved his master's in business administration before joining the Royal Bank of Canada's corporate banking division, and his transformational approach to coaching and facilitation employs the ancient wisdom of the East and the astute technologies of the West. More importantly, Dave is a very good friend, and in addition, he's a survivor of suicide. And why is that important? Because we recently lost one of our community members to suicide, and it tells us that it's so important for us to be each other's keeper, to be our brother's keeper, and to provide solutions that would be able to make a difference. So I know that Dave is going to be sharing his screen, so I'm going to stop sharing mine right now and give him the opportunity to be able to share his screen as well. So let me find you here, Dave. You may go ahead and share your screen, and please welcome Mr. Dave Rogers to our webinar.
Thank you very much.
All right.
And how are you today? Very nice introduction, and thank you very much for the opportunity to share today. I'm very happy to be present from Canada to be able to share a message that might reach, connect, and uplift folks around the world. Thank you so much for putting this together. It's been a beautiful day here in Canada as we move into the summer solstice. And that's one of the essence of today's chat for me, is to really connect and honor Mother Earth and our earthly ways of doing things, yet also connect. And I really enjoyed the prayer and the setting of today, because it is through prayer that will allow people to really connect and stay connected in a time where they might feel disconnected. As you can see, my background, I use the metaphor of bridging from perhaps an area of despair to perhaps a area of inspiration and hope. And so I do welcome everyone to ask any questions throughout my little presentation today. I'll be sharing a couple of slides just to bring into context some of the messages that will be shared today in connecting and understanding, and maybe even getting a re-awareness of depression and the different types of mental challenges that we experience in our life. As part of today, I wanted to actually invite a little slide into the dimension today. And if I can get it back, I will see if I can get that slide back. Here we go. There we go. And so thank you very much for the intro. And this was a slide that I wanted to present today to start off my presentation, as Father's Day is tomorrow in many parts of the world. And this is my mother and my father. And I'm not too sure if you can really see, but if you look closely, you might see a young, vibrant, new father. That's my father, Harvey, who we'll be celebrating Father's Day tomorrow with, and my mother, Mary. Mary is one of these beautiful names that has truly come into my life, not only from birth, yet in the last couple of years as Mother Mary and Mary Magdalene. And the power of Mary has really been something that has helped me let go of many of the challenges that continue in a life that includes many ups and downs, many emotional challenges. And then I bring in this one picture of a young man, a teenager. And a lot of the work that I've been doing in the last 2 years has been with teenagers dealing with emotions being energy in motion. And some of these emotions are exploding and being expressed in certain ways that people are very challenged to deal with it. And what are some of those emotions that not only teenagers, yet people all around the world have been experiencing with, particularly in the last year, has been these types of emotions, these energies of depression, of panic, of shame, stress, phobia, anxieties, grief, post-traumatic stress disorder. Topics that have been so relevant in my journey, my personal journey as a teenager who was exposed to suicide, with a best friend attempting suicide when we were in our teens, dealing with alcoholism, dealing with abuse, and not knowing how to deal with it, yet being aware that it left a trace, it left a charge that influenced my life, whether I ran away across the world and lived in Japan and Hong Kong and Singapore, and was doing various things at levels of success that many people from the external world might see, wow, he's so successful. Yet inside, those traumas, those triggers, those suicidal thoughts still rang. Until the darkest day in my life when I was 27, and I was standing on the 13th floor of my apartment. And it got so bad with alcoholism, with abuse, with bullying in the office, with so much stress and pressure that I actually did consider jumping off the 13th floor and ending my life. Yet for some reason, there was a pushback from the balcony that said, no, this is not the time. It also transformed the way that I looked at alcohol at the time. And I stopped it. I was able to shift patterns. And some of these patterns are truly being experienced in the past year. And in fact, if there's something that you're experiencing right now or have been experiencing in the last little while, I invite you to add a little comment in the comment section. Has it been senses of burnout or depression or grief Or has there been mental challenges of bipolar, post-traumatic stress? Has there been anxiety? Because this past year has truly triggered that in so many people across the planet. Isolation, loneliness. These are experiences, a human experience that has propelled people to greater gains of compassion, of kindness, or has also directed them to very difficult times of depression, loneliness, and suicide. And so in today's conversation, and I'm so grateful to Nicole and to Roy for putting this together, is the opportunity to perhaps look for ways to take these experiences and transform them. Many of you know who have worked with Nicole is that she has some wonderful processes that truly talk about listening. In fact, listening in the way Nicole does it, she asks beautiful probing questions, and then an empathic heart, a compassionate heart that allows one to perhaps hear their own possibility through their own words. One of the things that we really connected was something that could be perhaps as simple as word medicine, inviting people today to notice the words you use in the different times you're experiencing. Depression is one of those words that when I talk to people who are depressed, one of their favorite words is, I feel so depressed. I feel so depressed. I'm depressed. How do you feel? I'm depressed. I'm depressed. And they create this word, this spell. In fact, think about that. Words and spells. And I'm inviting you today, folks, is that when you look at most of our mental challenges, we have created a spell. That spell will include words. That spell will include a physiology. The word or recipe will be created by something that we've created. And that I'm inviting some of you today to be along with Nicole and Roy and the other players in this game of uplifting life. Will look to re-engineer, redesign, recraft your recipes for dealing with this energy in motion. I wanted to really bring this as a bit of a presentation, yet also some tips, some tools, and perhaps answer some questions that might assist. And it starts with me. I like to make things relatively process-oriented, such as ABC, the ABCs of depression, the ABCs of suicide, this awareness of what you're going through, working with other people to get feedback, to calibrate, noticing the behaviors we're using that I've used since I was 12 years old and into the 20s and into the 30s and into the 40s. And then really enlightening and uplifting the concept of curiosity. One word might change your whole next year. And one word might be inviting a brave new world. Brave for me is shifting your breathing. Everyone together, if you breathe in and you let it out, if you breathe in again, and you breathe in again, that can often be the trigger that will save your life. Breathing in the ancient arts from Asia particularly is all what yoga and breath work introduces and enlivens the soul. Rapport is the R in my brave new world. B-R-A-V-E, brave, B for breathing, R for rapport. And rapport is the way we develop our relationships, our connections with people. Do we ask questions? Do we explore? And again, that magic word awareness comes in again. Vitality is the V, and then energy. And we'll talk a little bit more about energy in a future slide. Yet this was a little bit of the presentation that I wanted to deliver, yet I also did want to invite any type of interaction or any types of questions that you might have. I wanted to just finish up the one or two more slides as we develop or invite people to develop a 21-day mental wellness calendar. And some of the tips I wanted to just infuse and invite you to start to work on developing a 21-day mental wellness calendar. Now, whether that is every day for an hour, or whether that's 7 days and then take a day off, or whether it's 3 days and take a day off, this is up to you. Yet I would invite, how about 10 or 15 minutes a day where you go and explore the energy, your energy, often called DOSE, D-O-S-E, dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins. That can be as simple as smiling or laughing. How about in the next 21 days, you go and you study curiously stress, because there is good stress and there's bad stress. Good stress can be laughter. Good stress can be learning, creativity. Bad stress can be overeating. It can be not sleeping. Yet if you go into being a curious student of stress, within 21 days, stress might become your friend. And that's spoken from somebody who, when I had my rock bottom time when I was 27, I went through a month where there was no sleep, about an hour, less than an hour and a half a day of sleep. There was so much stress, there was so much pressure, there was so many difficulties, yet it was internally driven. And that was when I started the curiosity into stress. I sought out experts in stress. I went on some stress boot camps. I really became indoctrinated to become somebody who loved stress. And now I love to talk about stress and assisting people to acknowledge it, yet then find ways that there can be a dynamic. And it's a beautiful duality dance of good stress, bad stress. The benefits of yoga might be something that comes into your life. You're looking at somebody today who for over 50 years never went to yoga, never liked yoga, never explored yoga until just before COVID. I decided to go to Goa, inspired by a friend who at 55 had double hip replacement surgery. And I went to Goa to become a yoga instructor. And that has, again, at age 55, transformed my life, because it's a whole world of stretching and breathing. And that has helped me immensely in the past couple of years as an elderly caregiver, because it's taught me so beautifully on a daily basis the importance of breathing, the invitation to welcome compassion, patience, and curiosity in elderly care. And then there's this other beautiful component, which I'm inviting some of you to do, which is meditation. And I've actually conducted meditations in many countries around the world and introduced different types of meditations, because for a 20-year-old, doing a silent sitting meditation might not be the right meditation that suits their energy and their vitality. They might need or welcome dynamic meditation, where you're actually shaking and you're moving and you're breathing out. And that allows the body and the mind to come together and then go into a peaceful state. This is something that we installed in some of the schools in Malaysia, where we didn't encourage kids to just sit there quiet. For the first half hour, it's about running around, getting all that energy going. And that's a key component, which in your 21-day challenge, the invitation is to really look at your nutrition. What are you eating? What are you drinking? Can it be shifted? I really invite you to go really and develop a newer, refreshed relationship with water, perhaps a blessing in the water, green vegetables, fruits, inviting those into your vitality strategy, watching the amount that you're eating in the meat area, reducing the amount that you're perhaps drinking, particularly in the sugar water. In fact, for some of you, getting rid of any of your sugar water drinks might totally transform the way that you're nurturing, vitalizing your body temple. I've been inviting people to start eating the rainbow bridge, red foods and orange foods and yellow foods and green foods and blue foods, and allow that to be part of your transformation in the mind, body, and spirit as you eat for nutrition. You send those blessings, you chew. When I took a vitality course in Japan, every meal, there was a song that we sang. The song went like this in English, yet it was sung in Japanese, was chew, chew, chew your food. It's so good for you. Chew it long, it'll make you strong. Chew, chew, chew. And that's something that, again, something silly and fun goes back to the laughter component, which is such a key component in any of the areas that we're looking at. Now, for some of you, from this one little slide, you can start to see how 5 minutes a day or 15 minutes a day, when you wake up, can you start journaling? Can you start keeping an evening journal? Can you start writing poetry? Can you start sketching? Can you walk in nature? Can you find adaptations to existing successful strategies and perhaps share a blessing for others or a random act of kindness? The one that's popular these days in Canada is when you're at Tim Hortons lining up for coffee, you maybe pay for the coffee for the person who follows you. Something simple, something kind, something makes you giggle and laugh and bring joy into your life. I wanted to also share, because this comes down to maybe creating a buddy system where you get a buddy and you start sharing. So what are you going to do today for your mental wellness calendar? What kind word are you going to use today? I'm going to use fantastic, fantabulous, blessed, kind, joyful. Use words as a way to infuse vitality and love and light into your daily wordology. I'm going to just bring this last slide because this is a slide that is the root of most movies that have been produced in Hollywood, most fantastic thrillers that go upon the hero's journey. It can also be called the shero's journey. And this is when we go from an ordinary life and we've got a calling to do something. And we start to build up a team, and we're going to have some problems and perils and difficulties. And then we might go into the pit. I look at these days, my suicide experience as a pit. I was in a pit. I remember taking the shower, and in Japan, you sit on the floor in your shower, and I broke the mirror, and I was just, my recipe for hatred and anger and how much hate I had for myself. And I called myself nasty names, and I just wanted to end it all. That was the pit. And then when I went through the pit of the unknown, a special power happened. And I truly believe that that's when curiosity about stress awakened. And it was like the pressure that's required to allow a new species to evolve. I've subsequently been very interested in Mother Earth and the elements. And one of the beautiful elements is fire. And fire, through the fire, some species are actually required to open up with the new space dust that comes down from outer space, and a new species is evolved. Perhaps the hero's journey is part of that. And if we can assist people to find ways that whatever they're going through as an experience is to perhaps shift a behavior, shift a belief, and shift a way of nurturing and caring for oneself. And that's one of the reasons why in the beginning of my presentations, I brought my father there and I brought my mother there. Because one of the things I have noticed is that in many ways, I have been reliving many of the traumas and difficulties of my father and my mother. And I've lived them in a way, expressed them in a way that would often lead to conflict. Yet the kinder I became to them, and this is the beautiful thing, whether they're here in physical form or they've passed over, we do have the form of prayer and blessings. And in this time of Father's Day, I have gone to do the prayers to my father's father, my grandfather, great-grandfathers. And I'm inviting anybody today, that could be a wonderful new way of honoring all of the ancestors, thanking them for all of the sacrifices. so that we can be here today. And that is part of the special powers moving into a redeeming gift, so that then we can come back to the ordinary life. Hero's journey might be the seed for someone today who's seeing it and might write a poem about it, or write an article, or write a book. Hopefully it will inspire. Hopefully there will provide some new ways to deal, embrace, and engage stress, depression, fear, doubt, and many of the challenges that we have during our life. With that, I'd love to engage any questions that people have, or any specific thoughts that anyone would like to share, or talk about any specific experience that might assist you. For that's what I believe that many of the beautiful programs that Nicole and Roy are collecting are people sharing stories that might lift others who might be going through difficult time, to celebrate our humanity.
Thank you so much, Dave, for sharing. And we invite any of you who would like to directly ask him any questions or make any comments to do so at this time.
While actually, as we wait for, someone from the audience, I'm pretty sure that has a question or comment. Dave, I just wanted to actually say I really appreciate what you shared, because, as I listened to you very carefully, I was able to actually really be with you on that journey, as you spoke about that time when you were in that pit, that time when, you were so successful. And many persons will think, when you see successful people, they have it going on. But there's so much that is going on behind the scenes, how they're being torn apart inside, the feeling of being unsatisfied. And what you shared was so powerful. You really took me on that journey. And I just want to say, besides that where you spoke about, doing something that is so positive and helping you during that journey, where you said the 21-day challenge. One of the things that we tend to do, both myself and Nicole, is, in the mornings, weather depending, that is good weather, and most of the time it's good weather on St. Martin here in the Caribbean, that we go and we take our prayer walk. And where we live, we're thankful for that we're able to walk in nature and watch the sea, and sit down and even hear the waves, and be able to pray. And that actually helps our day, to kickstart. So I can really concur with that, Dave. Thank you for sharing that. And that's very powerful.
I, a prayer walk, Roy, is probably one of the greatest things to do. And then if you're with somebody, that's lovely. If you're by yourself, you're with nature. So I encourage people, and if they're even finding walking challenging, they can do different types of things now on TV, and they can listen to the sounds of nature. And they can, my parents, at over 80, they've been partying every day with their birds. Like, they have a parrot, and they got another little bird. Like, instead of walking the dog, which they're not able to do now, they play with their bird. And it's hilarious, because they're bringing joy, and the animals also bring that joy also into the communion. And that's what's really one of the areas that I've noticed that people have done well through the past year, is that they're finding ways to create communion, be part of community, and they're contributing. And it's hilarious. And I love to watch my mom at 83 now, making sure she gets really nice fresh cashews for her bird, not the roasted ones. And like, she's so particular and meticulous about the way that she wants to nurture her macaw. And it makes me laugh. And the laughter is contagious. And I'm inviting folks to explore that laughter also.
Okay. So one other question from Billy Sterling. I don't know if you want to address it, Dave, but soon I'll be sharing a brief clip, and then we'll be introducing our next speaker, so it won't take much longer. But her question is, what role does antidepressants play in persons coming out of their depression pit?
Okay, well, I guess I'll qualify it. I'm not a medical professional, so I'm not saying yet. I have actually worked with a number of people who antidepressants in a short time can assist people through the pit. So I have beloved family members who were on antidepressants, and for that short period when they really get the deep blip, and it's for 3 or 5 days, yet what I found has been people have become so addicted to the antidepressants. And that, in my experience, has prevented them from getting the natural endorphin, oxytocin, serotonin. Our body can heal itself in many areas, yet sometimes it can be assisted by a quick dose to stabilize. Yet then what they wanted to do with one of my most beloved people is they wanted to put her on lithium, and that would be for life. And she said, no, no, no. And then I had another friend who was on it for 35 years. And when he did come off it, for 2 years, he had a struggle and he ended up committing suicide. So this is the thing, that it is a partially a self-gauge and developing the confidence to speak about it. There's sometimes a shame associated with some of our human experiences. And I guess if I'm really inviting folks, is shift your shame to something it can be celebrated. And it's celebrated when you start to share it in a way that you let the shame go away. And I'm hoping that that's taken in a way where it's coming from in compassion. It's just my stories I've seen so many times when people had a shame, yet when they embrace it and step through it, they're then able to create that hero's journey where a superpower comes about, and then they become in service to something that may or may not be related, quite often is.
Yes, I'd like to invite Mr. Oswald Francis, none other than my wonderful father, and happy advanced Father's Day greetings. He'd like to share something, so could you please go ahead?
Good evening, everyone. Dave, I must commend you for a very impressive presentation. I wanted to ask you this question. How do you deal with someone who thinks that yoga is diabolical? Because I've noticed a lot of Christians see yoga, well, I've done some studies, I don't think so, but a lot of Christians think that yoga is a diabolical exercise. So how can you persuade them or show them that it's not?
Did you understand the question, Dave?
Is, again, I'll paraphrase it. David, the question might be, David, in what ways would you work with people who might have an image that their God is better than your God and my God's better than your God? Was that the question?
Not really, no.
Oh,
It
okay.
was specifically to yoga.
Yoga. Okay.
Yeah. So there are persons who believe that yoga is demonic. It's not.
Yes.
It's not something that we should participate in. So you want some clarity as to what's your perception. How would you say that to somebody who believes that yoga is not acceptable for someone who is a Christian?
Great question. And it is quite fascinating for me when I did my study of Jesus, that Jesus actually got trained in a lot of the yogic principles. So part of his time, he actually became also involved in the power of yogic healing and the yogic practices. So that's part of my learning and understanding. And my play with Christ consciousness is the way that I often get myself out of some trouble with different people who want to play that my God's better than your God. Also, Christ consciousness is the invitation I would be using as what, and again, if the person says, oh, Jesus would never do yoga, then I'm not going to argue with them or try to convince them. Yet that's where I would be saying that what would follow your Christ consciousness. What would Jesus do in this situation? And that's my personal way of engaging people with any issues about almost anything. I love Christ consciousness. I pray to Christ consciousness and to Christ daily. And that's something that I'm very congruent with.
Thank you so much, Dave. Much appreciated. And thanks for all the comments and the questions. So I'm going to move now to a short clip on supplementation, and then after which I'm going to invite Sabina Asadova to share with us on some supplements that could help persons to address the issue of depression. So let me share my screen as we engage in this discourse. 1 second. Let me find that. All right, so I'm going to share my screen now.
One of the nutrients I would really like to talk about is magnesium. Magnesium is present in a lot of different things, but statistics have shown that only 25% of the population in the United States is actually getting the required amount of magnesium. According to studies, magnesium requirement for women is between 300 to 320 milligrams per day, and in men it's between 400 to 420 milligrams a day. But many of us are not even getting 200 milligrams, if any, from the diet that we're eating. Magnesium is found in different kinds of plants, and one of the highest sources of magnesium is present in nuts like almonds and cashews and walnuts, and in dark green leafy vegetables like spinach and watercress and dandelions, and grains like buckwheat and millet. And when we ingest our food, when we ingest our food, we have to make sure that we cook it right or we eat it raw. Depending on the cooking procedures that we do, we might kill the nutrients or the minerals that are present in our food. So we have to be very careful in eating either raw food or just soaking it overnight. When we're ingesting beans, it's advised that we soak our beans overnight to actually break down a layer called phytic acid, which is, one, causes a lot of bloating in our body. Two, when we're ingesting phytic acid, we're not really absorbing all the nutrients well for our food. So to eat magnesium or to be absorbing magnesium, we should try and avoid substances that prevent it from absorption. Some substances enhance the absorption of magnesium, and some of those are like vitamin D and vitamin K, and they help us absorb the vitamin better because of the fat solubility or the high vitamin K that we're actually absorbing with our vitamins. Why magnesium? Why are we talking about magnesium? Researchers found out that 3,000 different protein binding sites actually use magnesium. And in the different biochemical reactions in our body, we use magnesium to produce 300 different enzymes in our body. When we have deficiency of magnesium, we end up having muscle aches, bone aches, depression, we have fatigue, we have weakness, because magnesium helps in forming energy in our body, which is the ATP in our body. And if you're not producing energy in the mitochondria or of the cell that is present in our body, then we are not having energy, and so that's why we're fatigued and we have weakness. Magnesium is also used in the cell membranes of our body, and so that's why when we do not have magnesium in our body, we're actually having leaky brain syndrome, where all the nutrients are being absorbed, but they're not really being absorbed in the right place and causing the right reactions to take place to release the right neurotransmitters. Magnesium is one of the nutrients that is used in producing serotonin, which is the happy hormone. And that's why when we are deficient in magnesium, we end up having depressive symptoms and anxiety in our body. And that's why magnesium has been found out to be a very essential nutrient required for bodily functions. And magnesium, like I said, has been present in a lot of different vegetables and a lot of different fruit. But you have to be very careful when you ingest it and you're washing it and you're consuming it. And sometimes though we get it, our soil right now, because of all the pesticides we're using and because of all the excess and mass production of food, does not have enough magnesium left in the soil to actually be absorbed by the plant. So many of the plants now, as opposed to 500 or even 1,000 years ago, have only half the amount of magnesium that they actually used to have. So when you ingest a whole cup of spinach or almonds or cashews, instead of getting 500 milligrams of magnesium, you're only having 200 milligrams of magnesium. And that's why magnesium now is also supplemented in capsules forms or in tincture form or in different extracts of magnesium that is actually useful and required for our body, for all our bodily functions. Because there's so many different kinds of magnesium available, what is the magnesium that's right for you? There's different kinds of magnesiums. One of that is magnesium glycinate. There is magnesium oxide. There's magnesium citrate. There's magnesium taurate. What do you choose and how do you choose what magnesium is right for you? Now, if you are constipated or you have a lot of GI issues or you need to actually expel and have a bowel movement, the magnesium that you need to be taking is like a magnesium citrate or a magnesium oxide. And so any of these magnesiums help to release the toxins in our body, bulk up our stools, and actually help having a bowel movement. But when you're looking for a magnesium that is good for neuroinflammation or for muscle inflammation in your body, then you're looking for a magnesium called magnesium glycinate. And when you use magnesium glycinate, this is better absorbed. This actually is one of the highest and optimum bioavailable magnesiums that we can actually supplement our bodies with. And so what do I mean by that? As soon as you take the magnesium, it is easily absorbed into our body. All of it that you're taking is absorbed into your body, and it's causing the things that need to be caused in decreasing inflammation. So some of that is magnesium glycinate. Another kind of magnesium called magnesium taurate helps actually to calm and restore your nervous system. So there you go. There's different kinds of magnesiums that you can ingest as a supplement. But the plant magnesium, we still not sure what plant has what magnesium, but eating plants with the different kinds of substances that enhance absorption of magnesium, like I mentioned, vitamin D3 or any fatty substances or oils that you're eating with this dark green leafy vegetables, helps to break down this magnesium and absorb in our body the right way.
What do you see as being the greatest approaches today to come against depression and anxiety?
The greatest things are free. You don't have to buy them.
Yeah.
So diet is your number one thing. So getting off of the grains, the inflammatories, the starches, the processed meats. So diet is critical. Getting your diet right. Sunshine, 30 minutes of sunshine a day is more effective than any antidepressant on the market. So getting your sunshine every day. I'm religious about that. Exercise, 30 minutes a day, is more antidepressant than any antidepressant drug. So it wakes us up, it energizes us, it burns fuel and fat that we need to burn off. There's never been a study where exercise made any disease worse. So whether it's diabetes or cancer or depression, Alzheimer's, exercise improves every last one of them. So exercise is critical, 30 minutes a day. I have to schedule that first thing in the morning because that's the only way it works, because I'm rushing to the end of the day every day and trying to get it all packed in. And so I do mine first thing in the morning when I've got a little time for that. So I get my heart rate up to 150 at least 4 times during my 30 minutes. And that creates bursts of growth hormone and other good hormones, highly beneficial. But getting that heart rate up, and again, check with your doctor or read and study on what is an appropriate heart rate for you at your age to get up to. So exercise, sunlight, diet, social interaction, using your brain, all of these things are major antidepressants. If you start talking about phytonutrients, L-theanine, is antidepressant. Curcumin is a major antidepressant. One of those keystone herbals that's so good in so many ways for so many things, but it's definitely an antidepressant. SAMe, that's capital S, capital A, capital M, small e. SAMe is an antidepressant. So all of these things are beautiful antidepressants, virtually no side effects, and just phenomenal agents to be taking. EGCG, which is found in green tea, as well as magnesium L-threonate, are also good antidepressants. So all of those are phenomenal for depression and staying away from that. Lithium orotate, great antidepressant. Natural, you say lithium, oh, that's, no, lithium orotate should be in the foods that we eat, small amounts of it, the right amounts. But you may want to supplement because that's one of the very first minerals to go along with magnesium.
Yeah, magnesium, zinc,
Yep.
and selenium.
Selenium, anti-cancer, antidepressant, just a phenomenal mineral. So we should all be taking those. Selenium is like 200 micrograms. It's just a tiny amount. Magnesium is actually relatively hard to get into the body. That's why magnesium L-threonate is pretty good. And we should probably be taking magnesium as chelates or complexed in other ways. If it says magnesium oxide, that's it's probably not functioning in the body. You're not going to absorb that well. It's not going to give you much magnesium. Think of iron oxide, that's called rust. Think of magnesium oxide, that's oxidized. And so that's pretty non-functional. I mean, if you licked a rusty nail, you wouldn't get any iron. So magnesium oxide is not the magnesium product that you want to be taking. Again, magnesium L-threonate goes to the brain through the blood-brain barrier like other magnesiums do not. So that's keystone is magnesium for the brain function. And the other minerals, selenium, zinc, those are essential.
With lithium, it sounds funny because it's like, is that lithium batteries? What's the difference?
So I'm going to stop that there at that particular point. And I chose to share that video because there are so many naturally occurring minerals that we can utilize to be able to optimize our functioning, our brain functioning, and our well-being. And so with that being said, I'm going to take this opportunity now to invite to our podium, our wellness podium, Miss Sabina Asadova. And so let me just pull up my slide for Sabina so that I give her the proper introduction. Just give me 1 sec. It is coming up. So Sabina, for those of you who have been on our wellness journey, Sabina has been with us from the very beginning. And I am very thrilled to actually have her sharing with us because she has introduced Roy and I to a very powerful company called Longevity that has been on the cutting edge of helping persons to improve their health and wellness. So let me share my screen now with you as I introduce her to all of us. So Sabina Asadova is a leading skilled woman recognized by the National Association of Professional Women as Woman of the Year 2012-13. She's also a past awardee as Businesswoman of the Year by Open Heart Ministry. She received her PhD in physics from Baku State University, her Bachelor of Arts degree from State Economy Business University, and her Bachelor of Science when she finished Medical School of Nursing. While pursuing a higher education in 1996, Sabina worked as an administrative assistant at the Consular Department at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Azerbaijan Republic. She's a CEO of Global Health to Wealth and a certified holistic health coach and a registered nurse. So with no further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Sabina. Sabina, are you on our podium?
Welcome, Sabina.
Hello, such a great introduction. I appreciate that. And as always, greetings to everyone who is listening today. You can actually be proud of yourself that you're part of this gathering, because it means that you care about yourself, and that's awesome. So I appreciate you. I want to give all the glory to our Lord, and totally to bring my perspective as a certified holistic health coach, and as a representing company Longevity, who was founded by Dr. Wallach, who was in the research for 45 years. So basically, to make it in one or two sentences, my goal is to educate every client to reach optimal health without expensive drugs and surgeries. And that's actually the base. And we will be talking about what can we do to approach our body correctly. And I totally appreciate the information Dave shared, and the video that you watched also brought very interesting facts. And I think the information that I will be sharing, it will give you like amazing choices, and it will give you more clarity. What can we do every day at our own life, and how can we advocate for our choices, for our life, to reach that optimal health. I truly believe that God created this body amazingly, and the body itself is very smart, and it can heal itself. So talking about how it's structured, I absolutely with all my heart believe that we are a compound of three: spirit, soul, and body. And it's all correlate. And on a topic of the mental health, we are always need to think about all the three compounds. So the previous speakers already kind of mentioned it. I am going to focus on the third compound of our body as a temple. And I trust and believe that when we are sharing the truth breaks us to be free from all religion thoughts, I would say, from all wrong information, and will open us for the much better understanding and practical approach how to take care of the temple. My personal revelation was that as soon as we're taking care of the temple and letting the temple be in the balance, we are able to be fully engaged spiritually with God, and utilize all our abilities as a human beings, as a spiritual beings, and start to dig more into our soul and heal our soul wounds that actually can be correlate to the issues with the body. We can talk about those topics individually. You can ask Dr. Nicole for special time and assessment. But I would like to add a knowledge that we know because of the research of Dr. Wallach. And just to add up the information that we learned before, I would like just to bring actually information like the saying of Dr. Linus Pauling. He is a theoretical physical chemist, and he was the only person in the world who have won 2 unshared Nobel Prize. And he said, you can trace every sickness, every disease, and every ailment to the mineral deficiency, which means that by taking of the trace minerals and the nutrients and the vitamins, and by following the healthful practices, we can extend our life, we can reach the optimal level of the life, and to use all the capacity of our body that God created. So we're talking today about the depression. And as we know that when we're talking about the reasons why it's become so, how to say that, actively in many, many countries, and it doesn't matter where you live, people feel depressed, they feel down. And it can turn into the chronic or many look at deeper issues with the depression. It can turn into anxiety and all many things. I truly would like to address why is that happening. Just for a fact, I would like to tell you that in June 5, 1936, the organization in the United States, it was US Senate, they officially said that 99% of American people are deficient in mineral, and they marked the deficiency in more by that year. And that was official documentation, which is dated 1936. So you can imagine that the problem is our soil, it's severely deficient or depleted. And it's very simple. Minerals are in the soil. And when we're talking about the nutrients, I truly would like everyone to understand that our body is not producing the minerals. We designed to absorb them through the food that we're getting. So you can imagine that the issue with the deficiency of the soil started not yesterday. It's more than 100 years. So all those disease of today, we are reaping the fruits of not taking care of our body, not be educated what truly happens with the soil right now, and still keeping in mind those knowledge and approaches with the right combination of the vegetables and fruits to help ourselves to reach the nutrition. So we need to realize that this is old information. We need to understand that the food that we have right now, it's not the answer. But the greatest news of the day that because of the base of the 45 years of research, Dr. Wallach developed his company as a longevity. And what we use minerals that comes from the earth. So there are many blue lines on the earth that still has natural plant-derived minerals that designed by nature. And that's exactly what our body actually programmed to absorb much easier without any complications. As you've seen in that video, they were talking about magnesium and zinc and all the others. Guess what? It's a part of the plant-derived minerals. And when you understand the value that this plant-derived minerals that we have in our company have such a highest absorbability, you don't have to think what type of magnesium it is, because we have all type of magnesium. And what we were going to talk, we need to address that the magnesium would not be able to absorb by the body if you don't have a cofactors. And again, if we'll get into every small ingredients, it might take more than an hour, but I truly would like just to explain how we can, based on the knowledge and the training as a coaches we can provide to help you to be so empowered with the knowledge to get that strong understanding. What can you do for yourself? What can you do for yourself to improve your mental health, improve and get rid of the depression? Being sad for a short period of time, it's not a depression. We're talking about a serious depression that is going on. And if someone is already taking antidepressants, which actually the industry that pharmaceutical companies makes a lot of money right now, we know that every pharmaceutical medication does have a side effects. And if you are taking that medication, we need to talk individually and gradually explain to you how to, with, of course, your MD doctor, to help you to get to the lower dose and get rid of that medication. You cannot stop those medication abruptly. So what we do as a holistic health coaches, we're working with the regimens that the doctors recommended you and bringing your body to that stage where you just don't need any additional prescribed medications. So again, talking about our body, everyone needs 90 nutrients. So when we're talking about the 90 nutrients, it's everyone every day have to take that in order to sustain our cells, producing the stronger cells and producing and sustaining our overall health. It includes all the organ in the body, starting from the skin down to the bones. And 90 nutrients includes 77 trace minerals that has to be plant derived minerals, which means that they're coming from the earth and they're bioabsorbable by your body. Then we're talking about 12 amino acids that is compound that very essential for hormonal exchange, for building the cells. And we're talking about multivitamins and again, ingredients that helps with digestion. We're talking about the enzymes, probiotic and probiotics, plus omega-3, 6, and 9 as amino acids. So again, that's the core that we starting with each client. But when we're talking about depression, anxiety, we need to always see the core. Why is that happening? You would be surprised that the first thing, let's say, we have as approach, we do a self-assessment. Based on that self-assessment that is very easy to reach, it's online, and Dr. Nicole will be able to provide you the link. And based on that assessment, we will be able to find out in your personal situation, what is the core issue for your mental health? Because it can be a very wide, broad spectrum. What we believe that the number one thing is the not being absorbed the nutrients. So which means that it's your internal inflammation. Second, it's a sugar disbalance. You would be maybe surprised that actually ADD, ADHD, bipolar disease, depression, anxiety, and many other even stronger mental diagnoses actually have a core base in the sugar disbalance. You can imagine. So what does it mean, the sugar disbalance? It doesn't mean that you are diabetic. It means that your body is not capable to absorb the balance, the insulin in your blood. And because of that, you have a sugar disbalance. And that would affect your mental health. And again, there is another factors. So we're focusing on figuring out, do you have any food allergies? Do you have any like more specific deficiencies? So when we're individually talking with every person, it's phenomenal how much we can tell you about yourself. And just approaching that is totally turning everything around. We believe that in short period of time of 90 days, your whole cell in your body is rebuilding. So starting from the top of your skin, like the biggest organ, our skin, down to our bones, we are rebuilding ourselves. And depends what you supplying to your body and those raw materials, you are able to help your body to develop and build much stronger cells. And you're seeing a huge improvement in your well-being. So talking about specifically what we can do for people who has anxiety. And by the way, unfortunately, anxiety is twice as much happens in females than in males. And why is that happening? Yes, it can be a sugar disbalance, but it's a hormonal disbalance too. That's why taking that in consideration, when we talk with individuals, we are able to get that customized treatment that will definitely improve their conditions within the 90 days. And what else I can say? I liked in that video, they mentioned about additional minerals. I'm sorry, not the additional, but the minerals that are part of our treatment too. It's lithium and selenium. And that's actually part of our Health and Brain Pack. So Health and Brain Pack is designed specifically, as you know, it covers brain. So everything that is improving the nutrients to the brain. So we need to understand that our brain matter is actually based on cholesterol, and healthy high cholesterol is needed to supply the nutrients and sustain the function of the brain. And plus the nutrients that we talked about, that includes the magnesium, calcium, vitamin D, and plus selenium, lithium. In that combination, it's what helps to balance out the chemicals in our brain. And as you remember, I mentioned about the digestion and be able to observe. We already talked that in our previous conversations. So you need to realize that our guts is actually the biggest organ that produces the serotonin. It's not the brain. And your digestion and your gut's health is number one reason for your mental health. And that's what we talk about in individual conversations and the sessions. So we can give you some more information on that and explain how in 30 days you can just totally detoxify yourself and bring your digestion system to the level that your inflammation is down and you are able to observe. And I do support what we heard about, we heard in that video about the right diet. We do have a 12 bad food that we do recommend to take and eliminate from your food. And again, he mentioned grains, and that's exactly what we do recommend. So that's the biggest factor that has a very strong effect on the internal inflammation. And again, I'm just thinking to tell you about additional resources that we have. And one of them is natural hemp-derived cannabinoids oil. We are proud to say that our company does have our organically grown own products that works phenomenally, especially in the latest 5 years, everyone started to hear about it. And we do have a number of the product that we're going to talk about, but I would like to focus on one of them that improving your mood and truly helps with the anxiety and depression. So one of them is Uplift. So the Uplift is the product that designed in longevity. And as you know, when the mental health is affecting everyday, day-to-day life, the positive mood, sense of well-being can make a huge differences. So that's why we are suggesting to add those ingredients that helps naturally to improve your mood. I do have a lot of testimonials out of my clients, and one of them is my personal experience that I would like to share. That's my teenager that was growing when I become a certified holistic health coach. So she went through a lot of stress, and when you're going through the stress, your body is starting to balance out by taking your minerals, which is magnesium and calcium, out of your body to balance your nerve system. That's how we're adding more into the losing those minerals. So of course, teenagers are going through the stages, and plus they have a huge hormonal ups and downs. And of course, because they're teenagers, it's not easy to manage what they eat, and they're more prompt to grab something sweet. And you know that in our food, so many hiding sugar ingredients that are even called differently, like a corn syrup or fructose or anything like that. Those are sustains the carbs that are actually affecting our mood. So when I realized that my daughter is experiencing that seasonal blues, as we call it, we started the regimen. She started to take 90 nutrients every day, and she loved the taste. By the way, it's very yummy. And then I added that uplift. So that has a CBD oil. And in a matter of a week, I could not believe into that huge shift in my teenager child. So she was waking up on time, she was energized, she was smiling more, even the weather was bad. We live in Minnesota, which has 6 months of winter. And that was a huge proof that how we feel, even emotionally, and how our brain functions, it depends what we're sustaining in our everyday intake. So I truly advocating to learn more about it, because we have a powerful tools in our hands to improve our health and bring our health to the much better and higher level. Because in order for us to fulfill what God created us for, we need to take care of the temple. And as soon as your body is aligned and balanced, the rest will be absolutely in your focus, because you would be energized, you would be a loving person who would be waking up in a good mood and trying to bring the best to the world. So
I'm going to share that with you, with them now, Sabina, the video.
Go ahead.
All right.
More and more healthcare professionals and people seeking alternative and natural health treatments are turning to hemp-based products because of the growing body of research supporting its benefits. The hemp plant, and specifically its hemp oil, contain cannabinoids, which have been found to support many aspects of health, including pain relief, stress relief, and sleep. Youngevity has leveraged our years of natural plant-based nutritional research to introduce 3 new products, all containing a specialized hemp oil with a rich source of cannabinoids, including CBD and other full-spectrum phytonutrients. Each Youngevity product combines the phytocannabinoid-rich hemp oil with a complementary set of herbs, essential oils, and other nutrients to create proprietary blends to enhance the benefits. Hemp FX Soothe helps support muscles and joints by enhancing a healthy immune response and reducing free radical stress. For optimal results, it contains our hemp-derived CBD, plus the powerful antioxidant glutathione and a variety of herbs and minerals. Hemp FX Relax helps ease the mind and the body for a deep and restful sleep. We combined our hemp-derived CBD with melatonin and the naturally relaxing herbs chamomile, lavender, and valerian to help calm the body, relax the mind, and support your best night's sleep. To help support positive energy for your mind and your mood, we created Hemp FX Uplift. In combination with St. John's wort and a specialized set of terpenes and cannabinoid enhancers, our hemp-derived CBD helps support an overall sense of calm. It naturally helps boost your cognitive performance, providing sharpness and clarity to enhance your mental outlook. To learn more about Hemp FX, contact your Youngevity distributor or visit hempfx.com.
Go ahead, Sabina.
Okay, great. Thank you for sharing that video. And I hope everyone saw that and got all these ideas. And of course, I would like to talk about additional products that we have that, in addition to 90 nutrients, in enhancing all the metabolism and helps to get that clarity in the brain and like control the stress. As we all agreed, so let's just kind of repeat what factors are bringing to the depression. So it's a sugar disbalance, absolutely mineral deficiency in the body, food allergies, and stress. So when we approaching every of those factors, even separately, we understand that all that we need to start with understanding that God created this body amazingly, and every day, based even on the word of God, our cells are producing, our body is producing up to 1 billion new cells. So it's up to us, the quality of the cells. That's why it's very essential to educate yourself what your body, your specific body needs. And that's how the assessment helps, just to narrow down to your specific issue. And that's why our success rate is almost 90% with every client that we work with, because it's individual and it's based on your weight, and it's very specific for your case. And we cannot bring the same formula for everyone because we have different condition, we have a different background, we have a different predisposition. So, and they're very essential to be, when you're starting the process of improving your mental health, to avoid the caffeine. So it's a very crucial to eliminate a tea, caffeine in the tea and the coffee. And another products that I would like to talk, in addition to 90 nutrients that helps with the stress, and we did mention about this product in previous sessions too. And if you will just even do the research for the depression, they would be mentioning about the biotin that helps, B1 to B6, B12. So those are the vitamins that actually should be naturally in the lining of your guts. The good news, it's a part of our program, and you don't have to buy everything separately in the different bottles. It's all in one package, and that's the value that we provide. In addition to that 90 nutrients that already including the biotin and all the B12 from B1 to B12 level of the vitamins, I do suggest a de-stress. So the de-stress support formula, it's a phenomenal product that has additional ingredients, and special one, it's adrenal substance. It's a combination of the herbs that helps to helps your adrenal glands to not be in stress, to shut down. So do you have any information on the de-stress that you would like to share?
Yes, Sabina,
Okay.
we do.
Our computer has just frozen, so I'll come back to it. It's
Oh,
right
sure,
now, it's right
absolutely.
now on the phone, so I'll just come back a bit after it's
So I
unfrozen.
can just talk about additional products that we do have. So basically, to start with the treatment, I would definitely suggest the brain health heart and pack. So what it is actually the pack that delivers those 90 nutrients, selenium. And as you saw that in that video, he said 200 milligram of the selenium. But I would like to warn you, it all depends where that selenium comes from. Make sure that it's plant-derived mineral that comes from the earth, because everything pharmaceutically made or the made artificially, especially for selenium, it can be very toxic for your body. But 200 milligram selenium actually reversing the breast cancer, and it's a strong antioxidant that affects the fight against the negative radicals. And that's the part of what we do. We educate and explain that your mental health is actually correlate with your immune system too. How well can you manage the effects from the microwave and from your cell phone and from all those negative radicals that comes from the food? So it's very complex, and I don't want to get into it right now, but if you would be interested, we can always provide additional information. But with the mental health and the improving the depression, it's a key factor to deliver to the brain those nutrients. And when we're talking about the diet, the best one, it will be a sugar-free diet. You can ask and we can provide you our phenomenally popular ketogenic diet. And it helps not only improve the sharpness of your mind and focus and improve all over the body, plus it helps you to lose weight. So again, the balancing out the sugar is a key factor to let your brain function to improve. So another recommendation for the diet, it will be focusing on natural ingredients, raw natural ingredients that comes from, I believe, from your garden and organic places. Let's say eggs is the phenomenal source for cholesterol that your brain needs. By the way, with the depression and anxiety and the mental health in many men, they're developing the low libido. And by our approach, we are addressing all of these aspects. And even that the people with not only with mental health, but looking for the answer in alcohol and eventually becoming dependent on that or the narcotics. We do have a program that helps people naturally wean off from that, because again, that's how your body manifesting the deficiency and how you trying to fulfill that deficiency through the alcohol or the drugs. So another products that I truly would love to talk to, because in order for us to improve our health, part of it is, of course, to hydrate ourselves. And everyday hydration is phenomenal. So enough fluids in your body is at least 2 liters a day. And some of my clients having a hard time to drink the water. That's why our company designed a smart hydration, which means that we do have electrolytes and the minerals that is on the go package like that you can literally just add in your bottle and drink. And today I would like to talk about the smart sticks, which is bringing clarity and focus, stimulating the low stimulating and boosting your brain. So that's one of the options that I would definitely suggest to consider. Just continue to hydrate yourself with the great flavor, and you would not even believe how tasty water can become. So that's truly works. All that you need to do just to add that in your bottle, shake it up and drink. So that's one of the product. And another one is I truly like, we can combine them, by the way, in one bottle. The other one is enhance your mood. So it's also the stick that provides natural support from ingredients that helps to bring and brightening your mood. And it will be a sing to your soul. I like how they said that. So it's a hydration with the purpose. So it's very convenient. You can just have that in your purse, and whenever you drink, you can just add that, shake it up, and increase your hydration by adding a very crucial elements for your own health and your mental health. So would you like to put anything right now, or should I continue?
Well, Sabina, yes, we're definitely here following you, and really great information that you are sharing. Just before we continue, there's actually a very important question that is from one of the participants here this evening. And the question is from Miss Billy Sterling Lewis. And the question is the hemp FX suitable for children and youth? Can you share if the hemp FX is suitable for children and youth?
14 years and older. So our recommendation to start implement that for 14 years and older. So the time of their being teenagers. Before 14 years old, I do highly recommend to learn how you can decrease a sugar intake, how to balance the sugar in their body. We have phenomenal product, which is a Sweet Ease. It's simple combination of the herbs that naturally brings the awareness to the cell, like improving the cell function to absorb the insulin and balance out the sugar. You would be amazed as soon as the kids are starting to take that, their mood is getting more in control. They are craving the food less, they're craving the sugar less, and they're sleep better, and they're not falling apart after meal. They still continue to develop a pretty energetic, sustained energy, not the jumping up and down. So we do treat things, especially with the kids, like a behavioral things that we can help with the hormonal balance. But again, it's hard for me to say in that specific situation It has to be assessed so we can just bring our best knowledge for that specific individual.
Thank you for that, Sabina. Very,
Sure.
very informative answering the question for Billy. Also, as we can also Sabina, the another question came in, and I'm just going to read that for you. And I'm just going to pull that up here. Let me just go on to where I am seeing that also on my backup system here. And that is, how does the supplement for alcoholics work? Did you get to hear that question, Sabina?
Yes. Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So how the alcohol works in the body. So it dilates your vein and you feeling good because you're relaxing. And at the same time, because it's absorbed through the liver, it's flushing out a lot of minerals in your body. So basically, it's adding up into the deficiency. But because it gives you that short period of time of relaxation, but people are getting like more addicted to that. Unfortunately, if you're taking like at least one shot a day, but every day, you're turning into the chronic alcoholic. And the problem with these people that first thing for the improvement is just to accept that they have this problem. And then the next step is to start to take the regimen that we have that will be improving those deficiencies. And believe me, when your body have those nutrients, you would not crave for the same repetitive steps that you've been doing to feel good. Because a lot of people are ending up using the alcohol just to deal with the stress, just to deal with that emptiness inside. And we do have that power approach, and Dr. Nicole would love to share that on individual level, how we can help spiritually and how can we help with supplementation. The goal of our program is to bring your whole health to the optimal level. Even if you would be focusing on alcoholism, you ended up having a better body because you will be feeling younger, you will be all rejuvenated, you will be detoxified, your liver will be functioning much better, and we reduce the inflammation in the liver. And we do help because our product is detoxifying at the same time that delivering the nutrients. In some cases, you don't have to have a detoxification separately. And again, it's very individual. It depends how long the person was dependent and what his current stage. But again, I believe strongly that as soon as we know the truth that our body producing the cells every day, it means that every day we have a chance to make a right decision. And we can help with that right decision spiritually and physically. And as soon as we'll make that commitment to improve our health, the rest will fall in place.
Yeah, I'd like to also add, Sabina, and in my counseling, there was a gentleman that came to see me, and it was not for addiction, but because he was having challenges in his relationship and had to be separated from his wife. However, in going through the process with him, what I recognized is that he had trauma from childhood, traumas that he didn't deal with. And after we were able to address those, his addiction left, because addiction is simply a form to help you to cope with the pain that you are experiencing in your life. And I spoke with him recently because our sessions have finished. It took about 7 sessions, I think we did. And I checked in with him again to see how he's doing, and he's doing fine. He's no longer addicted to the alcohol. So that's another element that we have to be aware of, that people are going through pain and they are seeking ways of alleviating pain.
Right.
and it will go towards either eating or drinking or whatever else that they're looking for.
Exactly. That's awesome. All the praise to Lord. That's great.
Yes, so definitely as we continue to follow this very important session this evening, that what Sabina just a while ago shared, this is your opportunity, of course, to ask any questions to Sabina, as we are with you up until we have another roughly 5 minutes as we come to the end of this part with Sabina. So please do ask your questions. If you do want to unmute yourself, you can do that. But I would first say, if you do have a question and you do want to speak, please raise your hand digitally. There's a little symbol there where you can raise your hand digitally, and you can ask your question to Sabina. That would be highly appreciated as we're coming to the end of this this part of the session. Okay, we have a hand raised by Kevon. You may unmute yourself, Kevon, to ask your question.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Very, very informative, and I appreciate it's a privilege to be here. My question is concerning hydration. We know that that comes from water, and not just from liquids, but water. I heard we learned about those strips that you can use to aid with hydration. My question is, how could those strips compensate for the inadequate quota of water per day? For example, we know there's a daily recommended amount of water we must take. That's essential. And the point made was that for those who cannot reach that amount, then these strips aid with that. So that's my question. How really does that compensate for the lack of water? Thank you.
Well, very great questions. Thank you. And I would like just to clarify that actually the hydration truly comes from the water, and the water is the ingredients that brings the hydration. So those strips are just adding the ingredients that can enhance your mood and make your mind sharper, improve your the way how it improves the hydration. It's not instead of the water, it's just encouraging you to drink. Let's say some people have issues with hydrating themselves because the water is so plain and they cannot make themselves to drink 2 liters or how much, 64 ounces minimum, but we do suggest a gallon, especially for the summertime. So those strips actually giving you a pretty flavor with the essential electrolytes and the ingredients from herbal combination that can help you to focus on your mental health or to bring like clarity to your mind, improve your memory, improve your mood. So because we're talking about the mental health, I brought only those 2 tricks. We do have tricks that helps with suppressing your appetite, and it's all natural without any addictive ingredients. We do have tricks that increasing your immune system. It's antioxidants. And what I like, the box actually has 30 of them, so it's lasts for a month. I found that when you add that to our regimen, like 90 nutrients that we suggest and those specific needs that your body will need, is just to help you to drink more. I feel like when it tastes good, you will drink. So I hope I did answer your question.
And I also want to add, Sabina, I post this on the screen, the Quantra water. Did you want to share anything about that?
Yes, so this is phenomenal product that we have. It's a Quanta water. What it is, it's like energetically enhanced water that helps your body to improve a charge on your cellular level. To make it simpler, it looks like a water, but you're not drinking the whole bottle at once. You're just making one sips through the day, like maybe 2 to 3 times, and before you're taking your supplementation. It's like an additional help for your body to prepare to absorb those minerals and nutrients that comes from our supplementation. And by the way, minerals naturally negatively charged. And when you drink them, and majority of our product is in powder, they are having almost 90% of the absorption level. That's why we see amazing results in the improvement of the health. But the quantum water is pretty good addition just to increase the absorbability of your cells. I hope I answered your question.
Yes, you did. Thank you. We are going to round off because we are near the very end. We've actually gone over by just 5 minutes. So I'm going to first say thank you to Dave, Coach Dave Rogers, as well as to you, Sabina, for sharing this evening. And I want to add that we're going to continue with this topic. I'm going to be sharing next time on the cycle of depression and a host of very informative education that people would need to understand regarding depression that can help us to be more supportive to those persons around us who are suffering from depression. So this is just part 1. So we'll do 2 parts to this element. And so I invite anyone else that has a comment, any feedback, any questions, to please go ahead and do so now as we begin to wrap up. Kevin, is your hand still up, or was that from the previous one?
From the previous.
Okay. And by the way, happy Father's Day to all the fathers here, especially to my father on this call today.
Same best wishes from myself to any of the fathers on here, including my father-in-law.
Yes. So Arlene, any questions? Kevin, Billy, Naila, Dave, Diana, any further questions? Ruthlyn? Nicole asked if any other supplements needed. Sabina.
Again, what I love, we never suggest more than you need. That's why I highly recommend to take that assessment. And based on that assessment, we can approach your situation very individually and suggest what your body needs at the moment. That's kind of will be my answer.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So since there are no further questions, let me bring up my last slide. And this evening we're going to do a DNA cleanse, but I will have to save that for the next time. So hopefully you will show up for the next time, that you'll be able to participate. It takes about 25 minutes, but it's really a very powerful process. And in our next session, which will be the 24th of July, we're going to be doing some more sharing. So what are the next steps? Let me share my screen with you. Complete the health assessment, get your health score, schedule a consultation, get your 90 nutrients and any other supplements to optimize your health. Take care of your mental, spiritual, physical, financial, and relational health. And visit us at victoriouslivingfoundation.com if you have any further questions. I'm going to also be posting the recording on that page, on our health page. And we have coming up in August 11th. Shift. It's a time the future will be created by fearless, innovative leaders who have the courage to shift. And right now, we all know that we need to shift if we're going to survive or even thrive. So invite you guys to participate. Also, we have coming up in December, an amazing retreat right here on beautiful St. Martin. We'll be joined by 4 other experts who will be helping us to retreat to soar to the next dimension of our lives. So I invite you to participate with us. It's for a limited number of persons, so we would welcome you to participate. And with that being said, thank you for being here with us tonight, and look forward to having you in the next session. Thank you, Rogelio. Great info. Thank you so much. Doreen, Lavelle, thank you so much for joining us, and everyone that has been here with us tonight.
Thank you very much for being here this evening. And once again, of course, happy Father's Day to any of the fathers that are on here this evening. And it's really been a pleasure having you. Thank you for your questions. Thank you to our presenters, Dave Rogers and also Sabina Asadova. And to many of you who are chiming in from various parts of the world, Canada, also the USA, St. Martin, and other countries. So we thank you very much. Appreciate it.
We'll stay on for a couple more minutes, and if you have any questions.